Change has come to America.
Believe it. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock.
Where exactly is all this criminal white supremacy, this right-wing domestic terrorism that poses, quote, the most lethal terrorist threat in the homeland? Or is it? Well, of course, it doesn't exist.
The issue here is violence. The issue here is a complete and utter lack of justice where you can't do... Listen, what did I tell you? The mafia is for people who can't go to the police. What do you think gangs are? Gangs are groups of people who can't go to the police, okay? And if you think that, white supremacy doesn't exist, you're fooling yourself. And if your whataboutism is making you tweet or say, black people, then you're part of the white supremacist problem. Why do you keep perpetuating the same anxiety, the same insecurity, the same ignorance, and expect a different result? You're never going to get a different result. Never, ever. Now, this thing in Buffalo, obviously this was white supremacy. I mean, he wrote it down. He totally freaking wrote the manifesto. Looks like a transcript from Tucker Carlson's show. It's all about replacement theory. It looks just like the Charlottesville Jews will not replace us, replacement theory, Nazi, chanting and marching that went on, when Trump was president. So, I mean, this whole denial or blaming or looking at this group or that group and blaming that group and this group for this or that, that's ridiculous. Why don't you just look at this country and realize something has gone horribly astray? Something has gone horribly wrong. That's why race is still the greatest performer in the history of the world, especially in our world, in America. So here you have a guy. Okay, let's just look at Buffalo for a brief moment. What I'm going to say to you is going to shock you. Shock you. You have a guy who drove 200 miles to kill black people. The fact that the guy had to drive 200 miles to kill black people ought to tell you that black and brown people weren't replacing him. That they were 200 miles away from him, but he felt compelled to go target the most black and brown people he could, and that took him 200 miles away from where he lives. You think about that. And then try to understand that somebody told him a lie. Over and over and over and over and over and over until his anxiety was so high and his hatred was so mature and his lack of care for another community that isn't anywhere near his community was so off the charts that he got in his parents' car. 18 years old, got in his parents' car and drove 200 miles so he could find black people to target, but he's being replaced. That makes no sense because what they do in right-wing lunatic media makes no sense. And you know what they were doing all weekend long at Fox? You know what they were doing? They were blaming video games again. I mean, that's what they were blaming. They were saying it because the guy tried to live stream his murderous spree, and he had a helmet on and a camera on top of his helmet, and he was trying to he was live streaming it on Twitch, right? He was live streaming it on Twitch, and they apparently their algorithm caught it because it was taken down in like 2 minutes. But now there's stills and they're circulating over there. I mean, it is such a sad state of affairs, and listen, if you can't realize that this country doesn't appreciate the fact that wherever there's an injustice for one, there's injustice for all, and that unless and until we all get together and say, my God, in the richest country in the world, you have people that are living with burned out buildings next door and boarded, and you expect that they're not going to act like a mafia. They're not going to figure out how to make, money, and that the money is on the illicit, illegal trade of things. And those things tend to be drugs. And the drugs have now killed white people too, and you still don't want to do anything about any of it. But you just want to arm yourself to the teeth, and you just want to say the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a apparently a Taiwanese Presbyterian church pastor with a chair.